Life in the rigging, the sailors of Nelson's time. The ship creaked as the sea heaved beneath it, its timbers groaning in rhythm with the wind. High above the deck, men clung to the rigging, a tangled mass of ropes and sails stretching into the clouds. To the sailors, these ropes were more than just lines. They were their lifelines, the only means of survival, even if the storm outside threatened to tear them apart. This narrative is proudly brought to you by Polly Speaks For You. At Polly Speaks For You, we are committed to empowering individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, through innovative text-to-speech and voice recognition technology. Polly Speaks For You is more than just software. It's a tool for self-expression, connecting people with the world in meaningful ways. By blending the richness of history with cutting-edge technology, Polly Speaks For You demonstrates that every voice, whether preserving the past or shaping the future, has the potential to inspire. While we strive to make the story engaging, our primary focus is on storytelling itself. The visuals are secondary. We're showcasing the remarkable capabilities of text-to-speech software that bring these stories to life. It is from this perilous world that we take a glimpse into the lives of the sailors who worked the rigging during the height of Admiral Horatio Nelson's reign. The sailors who ventured up into the masts, handling sails and ropes, often at incredible heights, and did so under the most grueling conditions. A life of fear and heroism. The Diary of Thomas Bennett, Midshipman, 1798. January 14th, 1798, the Mediterranean Sea, HMS Victory. The wind howled through the rigging as I climbed higher into the mainmast, my hands raw from the coarse ropes. I could hear nothing but the rush of the wind and the sound of my own heartbeat. It's like the rigging itself is alive, bending and twisting in the gale. Up here, it's hard to remember what the deck below looks like, just a blur of dark figures, their shouts muted by the roar of the storm. But up here, in the rigging, you are closer to the heavens than the earth. The wind hits you like a slap, and your body sways with the ship's motion. They say that when you're in the rigging, you've no choice but to trust in the ropes. You trust them as you trust your own breath. I don't know how many times I've scrambled up to the top to haul in a sail or adjust a line during battle, feeling the deck sway far below. I don't know how I find the strength. They say the first time you climb the rigging, you fear you'll never make it, but after a while, it becomes part of you. Yesterday, Captain Nelson called us to quarters. I was tasked with manning the mizzenmast during battle. With cannon fire booming all around us, I climbed the rigging, rope in hand, knowing full well the danger. They told me it was for the best of the fleet, but in truth, I was too scared to think about anything but keeping my feet from slipping and hoping that none of the enemy's shots would reach me up here. It is said that Nelson once said, "I am not afraid to be in the front, and I wish for others to follow my lead." I'm not sure if he meant up here, but I'm sure of one thing. Being up in the rigging has a way of making a man feel like a part of something greater. The hardship of the men in the top, an oral history. For those who spent most of their time aboard ships like the HMS Victory or HMS Temeraire during Nelson's era, life in the rigging was not just a job, it was a way of life, one that made demands on the body, the mind, and the spirit. Many sailors remember their time in the rigging as a formative, sometimes traumatic, experience. "Once you get a taste of the heights," said old sailor James Jem Purdy, who served on the HMS Victory during the Battle of Trafalgar, "there ain't no going back." But it's not all glory and heroics. The truth is it's hard, dirty work. We were always filthy, covered in pitch from the ropes, salt from the sea, and blood from scrapes and cuts. It was common for men to fall, and when they did, it was usually the end. We'd hear the sound of a body hitting the deck, and the whole crew would freeze, waiting to see if it was a cry for help or the final silence. Purdy's words ring true in the memories of many who spent their youth in the rigging. Sailor John Jack Hinton, who served on the HMS Indefatigable, recalled the anxiety of climbing into the tops, the platforms at the top of the masts. "We were always scared of being shot at, especially in battle. A cannonball could strike the mast, and you'd come tumbling down with it. But it wasn't just the battle that made the tops so perilous. The storms at sea were the real enemy. The waves would crash over the ship, and we had to keep the sails tight to maintain speed. At times, we were wet through and through, frozen to the bone. Yet, the wind kept howling, the ropes kept tugging, and you just had to hold on tight. The unwritten rules, reminiscences from the deck. The conditions aboard ship were brutal. Men of all ranks, but especially those in the rigging, had to endure heat, cold, and constant motion. The sailors who worked on the rigging had a role vital to the ship's operation, adjusting sails to suit the winds, setting the yards, and even participating in the battle itself by helping to secure and fire the ship's guns. One of the old traditions that survived in the fleet was the camaraderie among those who worked the rigging. You never let go of a rope without knowing someone's there to help you. No man left behind. Not when you're in the tops, said Robert Hill, a sailor aboard the HMS Temeraire, during an interview conducted many years after his service. Hill recounted how sailors would often sing songs or call out to each other during tasks, keeping morale high despite the fatigue. You had to work with your mates. When you're up there, you're not just watching for enemy ships. You're watching out for each other. I'll never forget the day Johnny Turner fell from the mainmast. We heard the shout, and in the chaos of battle, we all stopped looking up. He didn't come back up, not that day. We didn't even know if he was alive, Hill continued. But it wasn't all grim. Sailors also spoke of the thrill of battle, when the rigging was not just a place of danger, but of heroism. During the Battle of Trafalgar, we knew it was do or die. We did everything we could to help. Every sail, every rope, every line was stretched to its limits. But we held them together, like the ropes we tied so tight in the mast, said Hinton. A final farewell. The last entries of Thomas Bennett. October 21st, 1805. The Battle of Trafalgar, HMS Victory. The cannons roar, and the ship shakes. The enemy's fire is relentless, but it is all for king and country. Up in the rigging now, I'm tethered to the ropes, the sails pulling taut in the wind, the ship's bow cutting through the waves. Above me, the masts tower like giants, but I know every line, every knot, every sway. It is my home, and it is my life. Some of the men have fallen. Others are too wounded to move, but we hold the line. I will not let go of this rope, no matter what. The Victory must stay afloat. There is no turning back now. This battle will decide everything. Epilogue. The men who worked the rigging in Nelson's time were often the unsung heroes of naval warfare. They did not wear medals or receive the accolades of commanders and admirals. But without them, the mighty ships of the British Navy would not have sailed, nor would they have won battles like Trafalgar. The sailors who labored in the rigging were not just skilled workers. They were the lifeblood of the fleet. Many of them died young, their lives cut short by the dangers of their work. Their stories are remembered, not in the grand speeches of victory, but in the creaking of the rigging, the crash of the waves, and the haunting echo of their voices as they sailed into the unknown, trusting in the ropes that bound them to the ship and to each other. If you're enjoying this story, please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating content that educates and empowers. To learn more about South Africa's leading accessibility software and to support our dyslexic-friendly initiative, visit www.polispeaks4u.co.za. Drop a comment if you want more information. Thank you for watching this video.